Welcome to the Nightmare Hour. Tonight's experience is an immersive experience. You're going to get a drink before each monologue tonight. It was a part of the experience. Tonight honors the work of Edgar Allan Poe. So we're very excited. Our students are going to be performing 6 deadly monologues. You're going to be tasting 6 different drinks that have poison. No, they don't have poison. Don't say that. They have. Our students made wonderful recipes, and you're going to enjoy these amazing recipes tonight. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Mr. Panchi. I'm the program director, and this beside me.
Hi, my name is Michaela Batia. I'm the student director.
And both of us, we were like, let's come up with an experience that the audience can come and just relax. Watch some monologues, drink some champurrado, drink some original recipes that our students made, and chat, get to know each other, and then get serious when it's time to get serious, and then relax, and then get serious, and then relax, and then so we're like, let's do it. And so tonight's performance is really inspired, and I want to give a shout out to our student who wrote the script, not the Edgar Allan Poe part, but the rest of it. Gisela Evans, who is our stage manager tonight. So can we give her a round of applause? We have a couple of house rules. Now I'll let Michaela start off with the first things.
Yes, so in case of an emergency, we have our exit signs to your back, your left, and to the right. The fire alarms may go off, but if they do, please stay seated unless we tell you otherwise, okay? There's also menus in your playbills, so in case you have any allergies, please look at those beforehand, before taking a drink, okay?
Good. Also, your phones, please make sure at this time to mute your phones. As this experience is immersive, what that means is that there's no microphone set. So our actors are going to be walking over here to the stage and everywhere on the stage. So be so kind enough to double check your phone and please make sure to mute it and put it on silent. You are able to take pictures tonight. Just make sure you don't have flash photography on that. Don't be that guy, okay? Restrooms. If you need to go to the restrooms, please go now, as it'll be distracting in the middle of the performance, or you can go when we're handing out the drinks as well. And please do not forget to support. It's $3 tonight. Really, everything that we do it takes a village to do. So how can you support us? By donating in the link provided there behind our playbill, or if you'd like to partake in some champurrado tonight. We also are selling that for $3 too, that our lovely parents in the back, they made it. Can we give a round of applause for our parents? It's the last night, so I just told Michaela I'm yapping a little bit too much, aren't I? But I just want to make sure we talk about all these details. I want to give a shout out to all of our alumni out there. If you're an alumni, shout out. Last year, and so now they get to see their peers from last year and the years before that be in this side of the seat. So alumni, please enjoy tonight's performance. This is dedicated for you. I also want to give a shout out to all of our teachers and our staff that are in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Roscoe, Mr. Calco, Mr. Del Rio, Ms. Rodriguez, everybody else, and our student teachers as well. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to shout out to the amazing parents that without your help, tonight would not be possible. So thanks for allowing your student to be here. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, because it's not just about the program, but it's about their experience and their learning throughout this process, and they're becoming better people throughout the process. So thank you so much for letting us borrow them until 8 p.m., sometimes 8:30, sometimes 9. We don't ever go past 10. Sometimes, but not all the time. But thank you. Thank you. Anyways, I yapped a little bit too much tonight. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's our last night tonight. So welcome to the Nightmare Hour. Please enjoy.
Welcome, dear friends, to the Raven's Lair. where shadows dance and drinks flow like the tears of the damned. I am your host, the keeper of the keys to this realm of darkness and delight. As you sit on your magically fueled dreams and indulge in the sweet, sweet poison of our character drinks, remember that in this place, the boundaries between reality and madness are blurred. The clock strikes midnight and the spirits of the dead stir. In this dimly lit sanctuary, the ghosts of Edgar Allan Poe's past whisper secrets in your ear. The ravens call, "Ka! Ka!" Echoes a morbid serenade to the lost souls who dare to enter. Our libations are crafted to transport you to a realm of eerie elegance, where the line between life and death is as thin as a blade of razor. Our mixologists have conjured potions that will make you quiver with delight, much like the narrator of the Telltale Heart, driven mad by the beat of his own guilt. As you navigate through the twisted corridors of the Raven's Lair, beware the whispers of the wind, the creaks of the wooden floorboards, and the flickering candles that cast macabre shadows on the walls, because in this place, the darkness is not just an absence of light, but a presence that wraps itself around your souls. So then, allow us to raise our glasses to the master of this macabre and to the lost spirits that haunt these halls. May the night be filled with mystery. May everything you hear tonight make you turn your heads. And may the madness of this place consume you whole. Now then, allow us to venture into these halls. The first tale you, my friends, have the honor of bearing witness to takes us inside the headspace of a man who's not only cheated death, but is also a man born brand new from just a spark of hope. You may have noticed our waiters bringing to you the previously mentioned character drinks, concoctions made to suit each of the stories you, my friends, have the honor of bearing witness to. Have no fear, yet these drinks are perfectly safe to drink, such as this one. In this potion is a mix of a sweet, sour, sickening mango puree, and a dash of sugar, and a taste of death. So, with that mentioned and out of the way, allow us to really begin. Enjoy these drinks, savor them. Allow them to be a reminder of how, no matter the hardship, hope always prevails.
at length unbound me, and I was permitted to sit. I felt that my senses were leaving me. The sentence, the dread sentence of death, was the last distinct accentuation which reached mine ears. After that, the sound of the inquisitorial voices, they seemed merged in one dreamy, indeterminate hum. It conveyed to my soul that the idea of revolution, perhaps with association and fancy with the burr of a mill wheel. A sickening languor seemed to oppress me. I could not rouse myself. It was not, however, mere apathy. Oh no! It was hideous. A ghastly, a grim mockery of life. I felt as if I was vanishing into nothingness, like a fleeting thought into the great unknown. The darkness, the silence, the stillness, the sense of suffocation, the feeling of being buried alive, these were the sensations that oppressed me. And the sound of the pendulum that swung back and forth with a steady, monotonous beat, ticking out the seconds, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, the months of my life. And the rats that scurried throughout the pit, the rats that gnawed at my bonds, the rats that feasted on the corpses of the dead. Oh, the horror, the terror these rats caused me. These rats were the harbingers of death, the messengers of the abyss. And the pit of the abyss, the pit of despair, the pit of madness. I felt myself being drawn towards it. Towards the pit. I was hopeless, powerless, unable to resist the pull. But still, I lived. Still, I breathed. Still, I thought. And in that thought, I found a spark of hope. A glimmer of light in the darkness. For I knew that as long as I thought, I lived. And as long as I lived, there was still a chance. A chance. A chance! A chance to escape. A chance to defy the pit and the pendulum. A chance to cheat death itself.
How inspiring! Look at that pendulum. I almost want to cheat death myself. But moving on. This second tragedy tells to us the tale of losing one's true love. Be careful as you sip on this next beverage. It might just make your heart ache. For in this lost love libation is a twist of blackberry and a mix of fizzing Sprite.
Deep into the darkness peering, while I stood there, wondering, fearing, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. The silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore! This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back toward the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again, I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely there is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what there is in this mystery explore. My heart be still a moment in this myself explore. 'Tis the wind, nothing more. Open then the window lattice. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating and no longer, sir, said I. For madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. The fact is, I was napping, so gently came rapping, faintly came tapping at my chamber door, and I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep to that darkness peering, when I stood there, wondering, fearing, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. The silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken being the whispered word, Lenore! This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. His eyes full the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming in the lamplight o'er him, throws his shadow streaming on the floor. My soul, when not that shadow lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted
Truly heartbreaking indeed. But moving on, this next tale brings us inside the mind of a man who believes he has gone mad. Make no haste enjoying this next beverage, as you may find its flavor confusing. The confusing flavor of coconut and pineapple.
Nervous. Very dreadfully nervous. I had been and still am. Why will you say that I am mad? The disease only sharpened my senses, not destroyed them, not dulled them. But above all else, my sense of hearing acute. I have heard all the sounds in the heavens and in the earth, and I have heard many things in hell. So why then do you all say that I am mad? Hearken at how helpfully I can tell you the whole story. I don't remember how the idea first appeared in my mind, but once it was conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I love the old man. He hadn't wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. What was it? It was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture with the pale blue film over it. And whenever I felt it run upon me, I felt my blood run cold. And so, by degree, very gradually, I decided that I would have to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. But this is the point. You all fancy me mad? Madman! No, nothing! You should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. To think that every night, just
sufficient enough for my head to fit in. I put in a lantern. A dark lantern. Close so that no light shut out. And then I put my head in through the door of the opening. You would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust my head into the opening of the door. I moved it so very slowly. It took me a whole hour to place my head within the opening. Would a wise man have been so wise as this? No. And when my head was well within the opening of the door, I undid the tin fastening of the lantern so that a single thin ray of light shone out upon the man. And this I did for seven long nights. But I found the eye was always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, because it wasn't the old man that begs to me. It was his eye. And every morning when day broke, I went boldly into his chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, inquiring him how he had passed the night. And so you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just at midnight, I watched him as he slept. But on the eighth night, I was much more cautious than usual. A watch's minute hand moves much more quickly than did mine. But this time I had never felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. To think that there I was, watching him as he slept, and he had dared not dream of my secret thoughts or deeds. I could hardly contain my feelings of triumph. And I fairly chuckled at the idea. Perhaps he heard me, for he moved suddenly in his bed as if startled. Now, you may think that I would have drawn back, but no, I knew that he could not see the opening of the door. The blinds shut, his room black as pitch. And so I pushed the door open steadily, and I was about to undo the tin fastening of the lantern when my thumb slipped upon it, and the man sprang out of bed crying out, "Who's there?" And I stood quite still for a whole hour. I did not move a muscle. I didn't hear him lie back down. He was listening, just as I had been for seven nights. He was watching the death that hearkens in the wall.
I truly hope you, my friends, were able to gather anything from that last tragedy. But moving on, this next tale tells to us, it brings us on a journey of a man who has lost his true love and now has to navigate through the heartache and devastation. As the sun rises on his lost love, be careful as you sip on this next beverage, as it is tinged with the flavors of every fruit you can imagine, especially the fruit of heaven.
God. It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea. That a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child, and I was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love. I and my Annabelle Lee. With a love that the wicked sailors of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in that kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling, beautiful Annabelle. So that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to lock her up in a sepulchre there by the sea. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those older than we, of many far wiser than we. And the angels not half so happy in heaven. They would envy her and me. And that night, when the wind blew out of a cloud, that wind went chilling and killing the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons under the sea can ever discover my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so, all the night time, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life, my pride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, entombed by the snouting sea.
It truly is heartbreaking that beautiful Annabelle Lee, that and the kingdom by the sea. It's really tragic. But anyways, This next story, this tragic tale you will now hear, brings us onto the casualties of the Red Death. So open your ears to the screams of those affected by this monstrous pandemic. For in this next drink is a mix of fizzling cider and a mix of red blood! Of red punch.
Darkness, peering, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal had ever dared to dream before. Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar, and its emblem. The redness in the horse blood, the sharp pains, and then the sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the voice, with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, especially upon the face of the victim, with a pest ban which shut him out from the aid and sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But the Prince Prospero was happy, dauntless, and sagacious. When his dominion were half depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hail of the knights and dames of his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated alleys. This was a magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. Strong and lofty walls girdled it in. These walls had gates of iron. The quarters, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers, and they bolted the bolts. They resolved to leave means from neither ingress nor egress from the despair or frenzy from within. The abbey was amply provisioned with such precautions that the quarters might bid defiance to contagion. The external world could take care of itself. In the meantime, it was folly to grieve or to think. The Prince Prospero had all appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, improvisatori, ballet dancers, musicians, and there was beauty. All these and the security were within. Without, it was the Red Death. It was stored at the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion. And while the pestilence raged almost furiously abroad, that the Prince Prospero entertained his 1,000 hail to a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence. The night was waning away, and still the masqueraders danced, and still the wine flowed. But there came a more deeper, portentous tint in the windows. The ebony clock in the black velvet room struck the hour, and then, for a moment, all was still. The music ceased, the dancers paused, all was still, save the voice of the clock. There stood a figure, tall and gaunt, and shouted head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. And then it passed among the living. And all was over. I stood aghast at the sudden disappearance of the figure, but I dared not to approach. I dared not to speak. The figure had tall and beyond and shouted head to foot the habiliments of the grave. And it had been the Red Death, and none had known it.
Anyways, we approach the finale of this macabre. We have one final tale for you. In this last and final tragedy, it takes us through the fast and furious swambo that is love and the ravage of time. Enjoy and savor this last and final beverage. Expect flavors of lime and cranberry.
I am come of a race noted for vigor of fancy and ardor of passion. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled, whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence, whether much that is glorious, whether all that is profound does not spring from the disease of thought, from moods of mind exalted at the expense of general intellect. They who dream by day are cognizant of many things, which escape those who dream only by night. In their great vision, they obtain glimpses of eternity and thrill in awakening to find that they have been upon the verge of the great secret. In snatches, they learn something of the wisdom which is of good and the wisdom which is of evil. They penetrate her, rudderless compasses, into the vast ocean of the light and effort. And again, like the adventures of Nubian geography, acresi sunt mare tenebrum, quid o esse exploratur. We will say then that I am mad. I grant there are at least two distinct conditions of my mental existence. The condition of a lucid reason not to be disputed, of the memories forming the first epcot of my life, and the condition of a shadow and a doubt appertaining to the recollection of the first second great era of my being. Therefore, to what I may tell to an earlier period, believe, and to what I may relate to a later time. Give only such credit as may seem to, or doubt it altogether. But if doubt it ye cannot, play unto its riddle, the opposite. She whom I loved in youth, and whom I now pen calmly and distinctly, these were the sole remembrances of the only daughter of my mother, long departed. Eleonora was the name of my cousin. We had dwelled together beneath the tropical sun of the valley of the many-colored grass. No unguided footstep ever came upon that bough, for it lay away among the giant hills that hung beetling around it. Thus is where we lived, me
my cousin, and her mother. Beyond the dim regions of our encircled domain, there crept a narrow, deep river, brighter than all save the eyes of Eleonora, as it winds about amazing choruses. As it flowed through the valley over the deep sea. As it flowed over the pearly pebbles in which we loved to gaze as they're deep in its bosom. Thus, we lived in our own home in the valley, shining on gloriously forever.
Dear patrons of the shadows, the night wears on, and our velvet curtains call once more. And to that I say, I bid you all adieu, but not before we pay homage to the master of this macabre, Edgar Allan Poe. His words, like whispers in the wind, have guided us through this evening's delights. As you make your way back into the harsh light of day, remember the raven's call, the telltale heart's persistent beat, and the darkness that lies within us all. May the memories of tonight linger within you like the scent of smoke and absinthe. Our next gathering will be shrouded in darkness, but fret not, the darkness will return. And so until then, keep your wits about you and your hearts aflame with the passion of this night. And so, until then, I bid you, my friends, farewell for now.